What's up, guys? Thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 5, episode 10. And y'all might throw your tomatoes at me, and that's okay. But I'm not ashamed. I mean, I'm a little ashamed. But y'all, I actually enjoyed the antics of Brittany. I said, you know what? I miss her shenanigans. I miss this pygmy bird brain heifer. I really did. Like when she stood up, what about me? When I tell you, I said, girl, what? All I could do was laugh. Like that's all I could do was laugh. I said, "Oh, she crazy," but I enjoy the theatrics. I enjoy the dramatics. She's a bird. She gave us bird antics, and I can't. I am woman enough to admit that I missed it. Okay, I actually enjoyed her on this episode, even though she got ate up. But let's get into this review. So y'all know sometimes before we get into the review, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. And I just have a few things to talk to y'all today about. So first up, let's talk about Mary talking about Meredith in this like recording device in her room. So if you saw this the mid-season trailer for what is to come for this season of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, there was a portion where Meredith was like, did you really put a recording device in my room? And so I guess there was like this Bravo ice cream shop where it was Mary, Angie, and Bronwyn serving the people ice cream. I saw that the Brooke Ashley actually went to the event, and so she'll probably be talking about it when she does her lives on Tuesday. But I did catch a clip from Virtual Reality Tea where they asked Mary about it. So let me play that for you.
He's recording Meredith.
Is Meredith making that up?
I'm just saying. Nobody's recording Meredith. Like, for what?
You're on a show. You're being recorded.
Right? So why do you care about any other ones? And who would need to do that?
If someone
We're on a show already.
If someone were to retrieve audio from Meredith's room, what do you think they would hear?
Probably sipping wine.
Okay. That would be entertaining. Yeah. Okay.
And some tears.
Yeah. Okay. Lastly.
Wine and tears and wine and tears and wine and just being a victim.
So it's safe to say that Mary and Meredith still might be on the rocks with their relationship, because the way that Mary shaded Meredith being like, who would want to like record her? All they're going to hear is her drinking and tears. I said, dang, girl. Okay. But honestly, I'm kind of with Mary. Like, who is recording Meredith? And I'm wondering who she was talking to in the super trailer, because the only two people I can think of is Whitney or Angie. And I don't see Angie doing that, but I could definitely see Whitney putting a recording device in somebody's room to like use on them. But we will see, because it seems like all of this stuff happens when they go on their cash trip. All right, y'all. So let's get into some production tea. Now, these are all rumors and they're all alleged because, you know, we don't have no definitive sources. But I did think it was interesting because it looks like Mary Crosby's fan page got an inside of production, and they've been spilling tea. So they posted this on the day of the actual episode, and it says this. SLCT, I regret to inform you that Mary versus Lisa has been cut. Mary and Lisa got into it at the Aubrey event. So basically, you know, the Breakfast at Tiffany's event. You're a snarky little sneaky something was to Lisa and wasn't featured in the episode. Safe to say we're not getting that feud. Now, y'all know in my last Spicy Corner, I referenced Mary Crosby fan page where they talked about how they edited down the feud between Lisa and Mary. And I said that I think it was to save or protect Mary, as well as I think it was to protect Lisa, because it seems like the feud between Lisa and Mary got real nasty and showcased both of them in a very negative light. And you can tell that they want to keep the fans still liking Mary, as well as the network wants to still keep Lisa around to use her on like events overseas and for casting, because she's all up and through Bravo Fest right about now. So then a user by the name of ILD Dog 1023 said, yeah, I actually heard not only this fight, but a lot has been edited out this season, which is actually wild slash amazing with how much still they have to work with. Like I heard Millie was actually very involved the beginning part of the season. So Mary Crosby's fan page responded by saying she was, but got edited out because all she did was cry. She had a feud with Lisa. Now, I could see the feud with Lisa because we saw what happened in Milwaukee, but also I saw some people saying that Millie also has some not so progressive thoughts in her, like on her Instagram, and the network wanted to stay clear of that. But I don't know how true that is. So then another person replied to the original post of Mary Crosby's fan page, and the user's name is Chatterbox. Kieran said, I think it makes sense given how they edited this episode. Meredith was the one who left while Lisa was still sitting there. If the issue was that grand, I don't see how Lisa would have still remained seated. Not saying it didn't happen, but it must have been resolved then. So then Mary Crosby's fan page responded by saying Meredith came back in at the actual event, and then more arguments happened, and then she kicked Lisa and Meredith out. So then another user by the name of the Archer said, could you say briefly what do you know about this beef and why it was cut off? And which scene from the trailer refers to it? It seems like she said that to Meredith. And so Mary Crosby's fan page responded by saying, because the beef goes into territories that make both Mary and Lisa look bad. So then the person responded by saying, do you mean like what they said was inappropriate? And Mary Crosby's fan page responded by saying, yes, they mentioned each other's kids. And the person was like, yikes. So the whole dinner / party was scrapped. And then Mary Crosby's fan page sent back a gif like, yeah, girl. So then they updated what they originally said the following day. And they said this, I got confirmation from a housewife that Mary and Lisa did in fact argue at the event. Her response was that maybe they'll show it next week or a flashback to it when the big argument happens between Lisa and Mary, if they show it. I don't know if they're going to show it, because I feel like why not show us it like in real time, in the sense of like when it happened, like all the fights that happened at the party. But I feel like they're going to scrap it because they're not going to want people to look at Mary or Lisa in a bad way. Like someone said on Twitter, people love to hate Lisa because they enjoy the antics, and people really love to hate Mary because they enjoy her antics as well. So they not about to like screw their people over like that. But let's get into this review. Before we get into this review, I just want to say shouts out to my friend for my hoodie. This is the first time I'm wearing this, and I've almost had it for a year. It's just been like neatly wrapped up in my closet, and I finally decided to wear it, and it's so comfortable. Also, it has my name on it, bam, okay? I don't know where she got it from, but shouts out to all my Hufflepuffs. Now, I'm not in the Harry Potter like the way my other two close friends are, but I rep my set. Hufflepuff. But I don't even know why I opened this review like that, but let's get into this. So the episode opens up and we have like this narrator and this storybook. I said, okay, budget, trying to give us different vibes with the editing. And we are in Mary's house and we find out that she's doing a Breakfast at Tiffany's themed event for all the ladies to come to. So, Mary likes the glamour and all of that stuff. And Audrey Hepburn, I think she said, is one of her favorite actresses, as well as she loves the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. Now, I have never seen the movie in its entirety. I've seen different clips of the movie and partially have watched the beginning of the movie with my grandma. But other than that, I've never seen that movie in its entirety. But I do know people go up for it, as well as people love Audrey Hepburn, the actress. So I understand why Mary has a Tiffany's Blue Kitchen, because that's her girl. So they she, you know, she's in her house, she's delegating to the staff, like, I like this, I like that, no, take that, move that, but she's getting ready for the ladies. She wants this event to bring the girls together, but the narrator was like, I don't think Mary knows about the beef that's been going on. So they show, you know, Bronwyn and Lisa going at it. They also show Sean and Meredith having their moment at Sean and Angie's wedding anniversary party, and then Seth going boom, be, you know, Achidi, you know what I'm saying, at Whitney. So it's a lot going on. So then the book closes and it says, you know, breakfast as Mary's might not go as planned or something to that effect. We then have this scene of Angie and her daughter Electra. They're at this like pottery place, you know, potting plants and stuff like that. And the conversation or the topic of Angie being a helicopter mom comes up. And Angie's kind of taken aback, like, you really think I'm a helicopter mom? Like, in what way? And Electra was like, well, this conversation. So they do a flashback, and it's like several different scenes of like Angie doing like these rapid fire questions at Electra, and Electra just looking at her like, girl. And then one of the questions was like, why do you lock your door? And I was like, I don't think at 12 I was allowed to do that. I do not think I was allowed to do that unless it was like something serious. Like, you know, we had guests over and I locked it to like change or something so no one walked in on me. But ultimately, I don't think I was just locking my door at my house. But I had parents that knocked. Like at a certain age, my parents started to like knock and ask like, can I come in? And we would do the same for my mom and my dad. So I'm just like, if she feels like she has to lock her door, to me that means she feels like she doesn't really have like privacy. And I understand that Angie is a doting mom and she really loves her daughter and she really wants to be there, but you do need to respect the boundaries that she gives you. So if you don't want her to lock the door, maybe you need to tell her like, hey, I will knock every time before I come into your room. And then you won't have to worry about her locking the door on you if that's something that really bothers you about, like, you know, that she does. So we move on from that scene and we have this scene of Heather and Lisa meeting up at this place called Kimosabi. Heather thought it was a Japanese place because of the name. I was like, Kimosabi doesn't remind me of Japanese, but I don't know. It reminds me of that song that goes "Aou Aou." I can't remember the name. I think that's that song. But but basically, Lisa is there looking at the turquoise jewelry that they have, which I bet you, well, you know, I'm not gonna say that. Because I'm like, did you get that from the reservation? Because it's giving y'all took that from the people on them reservations. But they have like cowboy hats, leather, and all of this stuff. So Heather walks in, Lisa and her embrace, and she's like, girl, I thought we was going to the Japanese spot. She was like, no, sis. So then the guy was like, do y'all want to go to our bar? And we find out that they have a speakeasy. So we see him walk to this wall, pull this lever, and the wall moves, and it's like a bar on the back. So we see the two bartenders. They're like, hey, what can I get you? Then one of the bartenders ends up showing Lisa her hat, and it has a raccoon's penis bone on there. And some animals do have os penises, and that's spelled OSPENIS, where there's a bone. Like dogs have that. Dogs and cattle have it. And I can't remember the other animal that I learned about in school that has it. But yeah, but I was just like, girl, I don't, like, why are you walking around with a raccoon penis on your hat? That's supposed to symbolize something. Okay. So while they're standing there, Lisa ends up telling Heather, like, I really missed you in Palm Springs. And Heather was like, yeah, I was like actually hurt that like I ain't really get to go. And so Lisa was like, well, what happened between you and Bronwyn? Because she told me a different story than what you told me. She actually said that she was really hurt and she cried after y'all had y'all's conversation. And so Heather is basically like, that's mighty peculiar for her to be crying when she didn't invite me. Like she didn't have plans for me to go because I had to apologize. And I will say this, because you know, I tell y'all to be bravely authentic. And I know right now everybody's throwing their tomatoes at Heather, and rightfully so. But I can say that I understand her not bending the knee or apologizing to Bronwyn. Because I thought about it in my, like, if it was me, you're not going to force me to apologize to you, especially if I'm not feeling like I did anything wrong to you, so I can go on a trip to be around you. Like, so I get Heather not apologizing. Do I think she should have apologized? Yeah. Because it's like, girl, Bronwyn ain't really done nothing to you. Like, I was with you in the beginning, Heather, because I did feel like Bronwyn was being two-faced with that situation with Whitney and her being like, who wants to see the hill Whitney? I definitely felt like Bronwyn was being two-faced in that moment. But I feel like, girl, you have lost the plot. Because now, like Bronwyn said when y'all were at the breakfast at Tiffany's, you keep switching while you're mad at her, sis. It's not, you lost the plot, Heather. You lost the plot. So Lisa ends up telling Heather how, Todd basically, Father Todd basically told me and my husband that we was going to have to leave or shape up because Lisa ends up being like, I was defending you, but I also was trying to hear her side out. And she feels like Bronwyn put her in the middle. But I said, no, Lisa, you put yourself in the middle. And if you were going to put yourself in the middle, you should have been neutral because it doesn't seem like you are neutral. It seems like at every turn, you're just taking Heather's side. And I can understand why Bronwyn is frustrated and upset. So Lisa's just like, I don't want to be in the middle of it anymore. And she was like, Heather, I really like defended you. Like I was trying to have your back. And it does seem like a lot of people have saying that it seems like Meredith, Lisa, and Heather are in some type of alliance, but it's doing more harm to them than good because Lisa has been somewhat clicking down this season because in the beginning of the season, I was with her when it came to Angie because I do still believe that Angie was wrong for running back and telling Whitney what Lisa had been saying. And we know Whitney, she didn't do it for Whitney. But I feel like Lisa is somewhat losing the plot with her allegiance to Heather. So Heather ends up being like, does she not know that we have like this foxhole friendship? Like, you're just not going to come in and like tear us apart. We've been through the fire. I said, Heather, what happened last season wasn't that deep, sis. For you to be acting like a martyr, like y'all, like that y'all friendship was y'all was locked in, like y'all was in the trenches together, girl. Stop it. Stop it, Heather. So Heather ends up being like, no, Lisa ends up being like, yeah, I don't think she knows. And Heather's like, well, I'm going to teach her. I said, teach her what? You can't teach that lady nothing. He had is a Father Todd and Bronwyn. So he's sitting on the porch, arms folded like Oscar the Grouch. And Bronwyn comes outside to go sit with him. And she's like, how did you feel about the anniversary trip? And he wasn't happy. He pretty much said that like he was appalled and embarrassed by her behavior and he thinks way more of her and felt like she could have handled the situation with Lisa in a different way and pretty much you made the situation worse. So Bronwyn is like, I'm the problem? Like I made it worse? Like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, you made it worse. You made it worse. He was like, what do you call me? Like, are you arguing and storming off and yelling at the top of your lungs at the jacuzzi with Lisa? And he's like, I know you've known Lisa for a long time. You've been cool with her and all of this stuff, but there was definitely a better way that you could have handled this. And Bronwyn starts to get emotional where she's just like, I'm actually kind of taken aback that you're like, you feel like I was the problem. Like, and she ends up being like, I don't know how to maneuver with these women because they argue, they scream, they call each other bitches, they do this and they do that. And he's like, well, you can find a different way. You can find a different way and you could walk away. And he ends up just being like, now it's time to like cowboy up. And I'm going to be honest, like that was mean. I don't care. Like everyone that tried to tell me that like I was reaching when it came to Todd, I was like, nah. Like either two things are happening. Either one, Bronwyn did not allow him to do research on this show so that she could be a part of it, or like him allowing her to be a part of it, or two, he always speaks to her in this manner. And I'm going with the latter because she ends up even saying that Todd would like me not to have show my emotions in public, and if I'm being all the way 100, he wouldn't want me to do it in private either. And she was crying in the confessional, which lets me know that this man shuts her down when she gets too emotional. Like, because he doesn't know how to deal with it. Because when she was getting emotional in episode 5, when she was talking about, her ex's, well, I don't even know if that's her ex, her daughter's father, and she was cutting her food and the tears were coming and he was like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this no more. I was like, there was definitely a different way you could have spoken to her about this situation instead of just like slice and dice and like shut it off. And even in this moment where he is blaming Bronwyn, when I'm like, yeah, was she doing a lot? Yeah, but it takes two. Lisa, it wasn't just her just yelling at Lisa. Lisa and her were yelling back and forth. So I'm just kind of like, she like I just he's dismissive. He's dismissive, and it seems like he's controlling. And it also feels like Bronwyn is setting up her escape plan for the divorce. Or at least if she doesn't want to divorce Todd, I guess she might be hoping that if he sees himself on this, he might change his behavior. Or she may be hoping that if she's going to stay with him and his behavior doesn't change, she at least has like money that is of her own, that she won't have to rely on him as much if she continuously stays on this show. And I hope she does. She's been a pretty good fit and like a real like good newbie out of all the newbies that we've seen on Real Housewives lately. So I'm hoping that she stays, but I can see Todd pretty much telling her like, I don't want to be on this show anymore. The next thing we have is of Angie and her father having dinner together. Now, mind you, the granddad is like, where's Electra and Sean? And Angie said something to the effect that they were like, Sean was taking Electra to horseback riding lessons. And I said, girl, it's dark outside. I'm like, I did not know they do horseback lessons like at night. Like I've taken horseback riding lessons, but it's like during the day, unless they have like an actual like a stadium where it's like, you know, well lit. I was like, I don't think nobody doing it in the dark. I said, where are they, Angie? So they sit down, they like, you know, take a shot and they're about to eat dinner. And the dad ends up being like, oh, you're such a good cook. And Angie's like, well, I learned from you. And she was like, you know, when I had a lecture, I started to realize and appreciate like what you did for us. Like you came home from work and cooked for 7 kids. Like that's not a small feat. And the dad was like, well, that's what you do. That's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So we find out, and I feel like, did they talk about that last season? That I know they talked about Angie's mom passed away last season, like well, not last season, but she passed away when she was young. But I don't ever think they talked about like the cause of it for real. Well, maybe I just missed it. But Angie explains that her mom died due to alcoholism. And Angie said in the later years of her life, if she was basically like non-existent, and Angie felt like she was taking care of herself. And so Angie ends up saying like when she had a lecture, she understood how, you know, tough it can be to raise a child. And so when like I guess Angie was like detangling like Electra's like necklaces, she found this necklace that a friend gave to her that had a G on it, and it represents the mom's first initial of her name. And I think she said her mom's name was like Georgia or something like that, or maybe another G name. And Angie just talks about how like she saw it and she felt nothing. And that bothered her because she was like, that's my mom. I should feel something. And she felt nothing. And she starts to get emotional. And she was just like, you know, I was so angry when mom died. And she's just like, I don't think she wants to be angry, but she's like, I think she struggles with the guilt of being angry with her mom and her not being fully present in her life. And so she starts crying. The dad gets up, she gets up, he hugs her, and he's like consoling her, being like, it's okay, you know, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Angie starts breaking down in the confessional where she's just like, I don't want to be mad at her, but then I just look at Electra and I'm like, why didn't like you seeing your children get you out of that? And she's like, I understand that alcoholism is a disease, but I'm still angry. And she's like, I don't want to be that way anymore. And I hope Angie's in therapy. Not gonna lie, I did kind of like tear up for her in this moment because that's a lot to take on. And I know she probably has real mixed feelings about like her mom now that she is a mom, because she couldn't fathom treating Electra the way that she was treated by her mom. And then like she said, like, girl, it was 7 of us. Like, you couldn't just look at the 7 of us and be like, okay, I got to get my stuff together so I see them grow up and be adults. And I guess maybe the mom was dealing with like postpartum or something, or maybe she had depression or something like that, because Angie ends up saying that she had like, she was self-medicating with alcohol. So it was just kind of sad, because it was sad, especially to see Angie crying with that sperm outfit on. But it's just like, dang, like that's real. That's honestly real. And I don't think she should feel ashamed about being angry at her mom, because I feel like her anger is understandable and it's justified. Like, you're my mom. Like, you're supposed to be here. Like, I shouldn't be having to fend for myself. You know what I mean? So Mary's party, we see Bronwyn get there first, and they have a bunch of like men in like ill-fitted tuxedos with the red carpet rolled out, but they're escorting each lady in one by one. So Bronwyn was in an Audrey Hepburn inspired outfit. People found pictures online and were like, well, Bronwyn does kind of look like Audrey Hepburn with a little bang. And they found like a still photo or a stock photo of her. And so she walks in. Why was there a man at the door with like a board and a pen and a piece of paper? I said, are you checking things off? Like, are you checking the guests in? Like, I was like, is there going to be more than like the ladies being there? But no, so I didn't get why the guy was there. So she walks in and Bronwyn was like, normally I'm fashionably late, but not like disrespectfully late. But she was like, Mary kind of like scares me and I don't want to get on her bad side. So I wanted to be there on time. But now I'm on time and I'm sitting here in the den with nobody else, messing with Eduardo, who was the bartender in the den. And so she was like, can I get a drink so I can figure out what to do with my hands? Because I don't know what to do with my hands. So Brown was just sitting there drinking. Eduardo doesn't look like he's the type of like person to have conversations. So it was kind of like, hello. You know. So then we see Meredith get the girl. She got this horrible bang. Not the bang. The bang. Oh, 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 oh. Not the bang. The bang. Oh, oh, wow, wow. It's horrible. It's so they're like in the middle of her head. And like they got, because it was raining outside, so they're kind of wet. So they're stuck to her forehead, but they're like spread apart. I said, Meredith, who told you this was it? But she has the bangs. She looks a mess. You got Bronwyn in her confessional being like, well, at least my bangs don't look as bad as Meredith, because I don't even know. It's like an octopus on her forehead. So then as they're talking, Bronwyn ends up sharing with Meredith how Todd was not happy with the way that things went down in Palm Springs and with the yelling. And then Meredith's like, yeah, I hate yelling. And then they flash back to when she was like, you can leave. Girl, you love to yell, Meredith. You love to be dramatic and extra. So, you know, I think Meredith is saying like there is a different way you can approach things, but like with this group, sometimes you pretty much got to say what you got to say. So next thing you know, they hear Mary. Mary comes down. I didn't really like Mary's outfit, but hey, it's her house, it's her party. So she ends up saying in her confessional that with everything going on with Robert Jr., she likes throwing parties to like pretty much keep her mind off of the situation and have something else to like think about. So she's just like, this is why I, you know, am happy that the girls are here, as well as she wants the ladies to come together. We then see Lisa walk in and she has on a Tiffany blue jumpsuit. Mary's not pleased. Mary was like, the purpose of everybody coming was to dress up and get very all dolled up like Audrey Hepburn, like her character on Breakfast at Tiffany's. And you come up in here in a jumpsuit that I wore last year. And they show it. And so Lisa is like, Mary may have worn the jumpsuit last year, but I saw the jumpsuit back in 2022 on the runway because I was invited to the Fendi runway and I was sitting front row. So she was like, it is what it is. Now, I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it's Lisa. She gonna always make a moment and make a statement. So then we see Whitney get there. Whitney somewhat looks like Audrey Hepburn, but she didn't want to put her hair in a bun, and she also didn't want to have bangs like Meredith. So she just has her hair down with a pearl headband. We then end up seeing Angie get there, and you can tell that Mary was actually extremely excited to see Angie, because Angie out of everyone looked the best. She looked beautiful. Like her face when she was arguing with Meredith, she looked good. Like I was like, okay, face, I see it. And so Angie and Mary like embrace each other. Meredith kind of has the stank face because Meredith is not happy that Angie is now friends with Mary, because you know last season Mary was fully riding with Meredith and was like chopping Angie down at the legs, but now it seems like Angie and Mary are really like locked in, and I feel like Meredith feels like she's being pushed out. The last person to get to the party is Heather. She's not really giving Audrey Hepburn, maybe, I don't know. um, no one online had like a stock photo of like a picture of Audrey Hepburn in an outfit next to Heather. So I was like, maybe she wasn't. Like, again, the person that dressed the best was Angie. So she walks in, she's like, oh my God, you look great. You look great. You have in the corner is Bronwyn and Lisa. So Heather walks over to Lisa, hugs Lisa, immediately like turns her back to Bronwyn. Bronwyn's like, oh, okay. like, like she just like X'd me out like I got anthrax or something on my body. And so um Heather goes back beside Mary, and Mary is like now about to lead the ladies into where they're going to sit down and have lunch. And Mary asks Heather, like, did you say hi to Bronwyn? And Heather's like, nah, whatever, whatever. So they go and sit down at the table. And Angie notices that there's a seat that is empty near her, and she looks at it, and they all have like placeholders and stuff. And she was like, I'm so surprised that you invited Brittany. And they were like, well, why did you invite her? And Mary's like, because I wanted her to know I'm not poor. So everybody is like, Brahman is like, ooh. And then Angie is like, and I'm just like, Mary, you still holding on to that? Now, it definitely was a foot in mouth moment for Brittany, because just because someone says that they grew up not with a lot of stuff does not mean they're automatically poor. But I think Brittany was just trying to relate to Mary, and it rubbed her the wrong way. But she's like, yeah, I did invite her. And then she's like, well, everyone's like, well, she'll know you're not poor with these Versace plates. So then Angie starts talking about how Abraham Lincoln had Versace plates. I said, that's a lie. That's a lie. Like I said, and like everyone said, Abraham Lincoln and Versace are like 100 years apart. Like that man grew up in like, in the 80s and the 70s. I was like, Angie, shut up. Like Angie be wanting everything to be so Greek. And I'm like, it's not that, girl. The world is not Greeked out. Okay. Brittany finally gets there, and everyone's actually shocked that she came. The energy in the room has shifted. You got her immediately going to Mary, being like, thank you for inviting me, like hugging Mary. And Mary's kind of like, get off me. Okay, go sit down, take your place. And so Mary ends up standing up now that the table is full and everyone's here. And she like thanks all the ladies for coming. She talks about how like she wants this to be an event where we all can come together and just enjoy each other and have a good time. So then Heather takes it upon herself to be like, well, Mary, thank you for inviting me, because some of us don't get invited to a lot of things. And so Bronwyn is like, oh, so we starting off the dinner, like, the breakfast like this. Okay. And Heather's in her confessional like, yeah, girl, I brought the shit to the breakfast. Like, let's do this. Like, let's go. I'm ready for it. Like, let's do it. So as they're sitting there, you end up having Brittany be like, oh, you guys look like really lovely, like really nice. Like I'm seeing that you guys got tans, very nice tans. So I'm trying to understand that, like, I guess Mary, me, and Heather didn't get an invite to wherever y'all went to over the weekend. And she said, also, it's kind of crazy that Mary is the only person out of this whole entire group that has checked up on me. And I said, yeah, it is kind of crazy that Mary, who's been like really coming at your neck, has taken the time to check up on you. Whereas Heather, who brought you into this group, and Whitney, who also says she's known you, didn't take the time to make sure that you was okay. You should be reevaluating your friendship with both ladies. So she then turns her energy towards Angie, where she's like, and you, Angie, like I invite you to like my Bible study event, and you bring wine, and you didn't even take the initiative to like, talk to me or check up on me. And so Angie's kind of taken aback about the whole wine thing, where she's just like, oh, now she coming for me. So Whitney ends up sticking up for Angie, being like, why does it matter that she brought you wine as like a gift when you drinking at the table right now? And so Brittany is like, well, that's because I'm drinking here and I'm surrounded by you guys. I'm not in front of like congregation members, like church members, girl. So then Angie gets upset, and she said, girl, you can't be all this high and mighty when currently you doing three men. And everyone's like, what? Lisa was like, whoa, whoa. And she's like, huh? And then Brittany was like, I'm not doing 3 men. So then they do a flashback where Brittany is still talking to Jared. She's also still talking to the Jason guy that we saw as well. And she started talking to another guy. And I don't think it's wrong for her to date multiple people. But I was like, Angie, you said it that way on purpose. Because you could have just been like, she's dating multiple people. You ain't had to say that lady out here in these streets with 3 different men. And so Mary in her confessional is like, can we stop talking about Jared? He for the streets anyway, because even he's been in my DMs, and they actually show him DMing Mary. They're not really like, I don't think he's like hitting on her. Maybe, I don't know, with a man like Jared. He has what a quality and amazing human. He also has, I immediately connected to you as the daughter of God. I feel the spiritual connections. I don't know, maybe he is flirting. Or trying to get over on Mary. Because I said, what is this? What is this? So then production ends up asking Mary, have you told Brittany that he's been in your DMs? And she said, no, because I don't need that soap opera in my life. I got too much going on right now. I don't need none of that. I don't need none of that. So we see the continuation of Angie and Brittany going back and forth, because Brittany was like, she was like, you're saying that you grew up Mormon, like you should know better. Like, and I know it's a cultural thing because you told me that at your church, whenever y'all take communion, y'all drink wine, but like, girl, for real? So then Whitney jumps in again and she's like, are you really mad at the fact that she bought you wine? Are you mad at the fact that your congregation members saw that you have wine in your house? So then Brittany really didn't have a response to that, because she's like, yeah, that's the reason, girl. And so Heather ends up saying in her confessional, she understands why Brittany is kind of feeling this way. Like, when I was in between trying to figure out my walk with Mormonism, I would dibble and dabble and, drink. And you're not supposed to drink for any occasion. So actually having alcohol in your house is very much frowned upon. So it gives you kind of like a bad look. Unless, you go to Mormon 2.0 where Lisa resides. So then the conversation turns to, and Bronwyn, I don't understand why you didn't invite me. Like, I thought we was cool. So Bronwyn is just kind of like, girl, why would I? So then Lisa actually jumps in to defend Bronwyn, where she's like, well, Brittany, you have said some pretty like messed up things about her marriage. Like, why would she invite you to her anniversary? So then Bronwyn was like, yeah, you said that, like, you asked me, do I really love my husband? Like, am I in it for the money? Like this, and like you really have been saying some disparaging things about my relationship. So why would I invite you? And everything that Bronwyn is listing out, Brittany is like, I didn't say it like that. And I did say that. And when I said everyone was saying, I was saying everyone was thinking it. So let's not act that way. So then Lisa was like, I don't even think that way. I don't think that way about their marriage. Like, don't put that on me. Don't put that on me. So then somehow Heather jumps in and she's like, well, why don't you have a prenup? And so Bronwyn ends up saying, Heather, you gonna need to take a break with asking me about this whole prenup situation, because you don't really want to open that door with me for real, girl. You don't want that smoke. So Heather ends up being like, girl, I want the smoke. So like, give it to me. Like, girl, I ain't scared of you. Like, what's up? And so Bronwyn ends up being like, Heather, I don't understand why you so invested in my marriage. You've had the most critical and like harshest things to say about it. And Heather said, other than the whole prenup thing, what have I said? She was like, in this day and age, I would think that you would want to have a prenup. Now, I'm not going to lie. I actually do agree with Heather that in any relationship, any marriage that you get in, you should have a prenup. Even if you think you don't have money, get a prenup. I know if I ever get married, prenup. Give it to me. Let me sign the paperwork, But it is kind of out of line, like, for Heather to constantly be throwing that at Bronwyn's face, because it's like, girl, why are you so pressed that she ain't got no prenup? Like, do you think she don't deserve any money from him? Like, what's going on? Or do you not really believe their relationship? Maybe it's more so or that. Or are you jealous? I mean, I don't know if Heather is jealous, because I don't think Heather is attracted to Todd, but I think she might be jealous of the status that Bronwyn has still attached to Todd. Either way, it's definitely given that she is very bothered by this lady. So Heather ends up being like, girl, the only thing I know about your husband is that y'all don't got a prenup, that he likes to collect Starbucks cups. Mary's face was like, girl, what? And everybody else is like, okay. And that your husband is an asshole and he kicks people out of his parties if they don't do what he says, or on his vacations if they don't do what he says. So then Bronwyn looks at Lisa like, oh, really, Lisa? Really? Cool, Lisa. And Lisa was just like, Heather. And I'm looking at, if I was Lisa, I'd have been mad at Heather. Because if I'm telling you, like, girl, I felt like it was an asshole move for that man to kick me out or try to attempt to kick me off of vacation, why would you then use that to throw a dig at somebody that you know that I'm friends with? So if I was Lisa, I would be steering clear of Heather. Because Heather, I said, girl, Heather be throwing people under the bus. That she, like when she get mad, she throw people under the bus. So then, Mary interjects and she's like, honestly, I think Bronwyn really does care about like working things out with you. You may not feel it, but I really think she wanted you to come on the trip. And so then Bronwyn was like, yes, I even bought like first class plane tickets for you to come on the trip. And Heather's like, well, how did you get that information to even buy me a plane ticket? And she was like, Bronwyn was like, I asked someone and they gave me your birthday. I honestly think Bronwyn was referring to production. She got so she could buy the plane tickets. And then Heather was like, that's a lie because nobody knows my birthday because I have lied to everyone about my birthday. The way Mary was disgusted, Mary said, what? And I said, I was with Mary. Why are you lying about your birthday? Like, are you in witness protection? Like, why are we lying? Like, what? So then we see Whitney in the confessional Googling Heather's birthday, but like she was like, I'm not gonna tell y'all the year. We then see production ask Heather, so when is your birthday? And she was like, you're never gonna know. I'm like, why is your birth, like why girl, what? Heather, this is why people think you are a liar. You got the black eye from Jen Shaw. Now you lying about you are like boastfully letting everybody know that you lied about when your birthday is, and you've lied to everyone about it. That's weirdo behavior, bro. Weird. So then Bronwyn shows Heather her phone where she's like, look, this is the itinerary for the flight. Like, I bought you a flight, okay? Like, I wanted you to come. So then Heather's like, so then who did you give my ticket to if you wanted me to come? And Angie was like, it wasn't us because we didn't sit in first class. And then Lisa brings up how like, yeah, I couldn't even change my flight. And how like, and I was really upset about that. And so was Angie. Angie was like, no, I wasn't. And so they flash back and Angie really wasn't upset. I think she was kind of shocked at first, but then she was just like, she knew Lisa was going to be upset. And so Angie was like, girl, I knew you was going to be upset because we've been friends for that long. So then Bronwyn proceeds to like check Lisa being like, how ungrateful, okay? Like how ungrateful, like, do you need to be for the fact that like, girl, I bought you, like I flew you there on a private jet. You and your husband got gifts. Y'all got fed every single day. I took y'all to a race and everything. And you over here complaining about a 65-minute flight. How ungrateful. And Lisa really didn't have a response. That mouth was wide open like she couldn't say anything because it is ungrateful. Like, is it understandable that you would be upset that you were flying coach and you were expecting to fly back in a private jet or first class? Yeah. But girl, it's an hour flight. Get over it. Drink you some peanuts. Not drink peanuts. Drink some Sprite. Get you a Biscoff cookie and some pretzels and be quiet, or take a nap. So then Heather ends up saying, well, how come you were the ones that were able to fly like first class, but you didn't pay for nobody else to fly first class? And Brown was like, because it was my damn credit card. That's why, my money. And I said, yeah, it's her money. like she bought y'all plane tickets. It is what it is. So then Bronwyn says in her confessional, this is what Heather does. She winds everybody up and distracts them from like the actual problem at hand. So then you don't even really you're not even focusing on Heather anymore. You're focusing on a different issue, but I'm not going to allow Heather to do that to me. I'm not going to allow her to wind me up. So then Bronwyn ends up saying, like, this is the issue, Heather. I wanted us to, like, find a common ground or make amends. She was like, I know I've done things, but you have also done things too. But it seems like every single time I try to figure out what's the issue between us, you change it and it's something else. It's something else. And so Heather is just like, okay. So then Whitney interjects and she's like, look, I know we've had trauma when it comes to like our religion and our friendship and we don't trust people, but like you got to give Bronwyn credit. She was trying to give you a in by having you meet with her so y'all can apologize and move forward. So then Heather ends up being like, I get it. I know I'm coming off harsh. I know I'm coming off mean and bullheaded and all of that stuff, but like, I'm real defensive of like my friendships. Like I like this is the newfound family that I have that I don't have connections to the church anymore. And I want to protect it. She's like, it's dysfunctional. It's all of this stuff, but this is my family. And she was like, and maybe I'm defensive and I'm not trying to let you in, but it is what it is at this point. So then I think Heather ends up saying, and I'm sorry, like I have to take you at face value that you legit wanted to get to know me and wanted us to make amends and be on the same page. The thing is like, I appreciated what Heather said. I don't think it was BS. I don't think it was bull. I think she legit doesn't trust Bronwyn. I think it's a combination of her being like, who's this new girl in town who got all this money, got this rich husband? She's close to Lisa, who I'm trying to buddy up to. She's meshing in this group like very quickly. Like, I don't know. Like, she might be cautious, but also being a hater. So the fact that she could admit that, like, yeah, I'm defensive. Yeah, I don't really trust people. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I see it for you, but I'm going to take you at face value that you really wanted to like move forward with me. So they end up cheersing because they both end up like, because Heather ends up apologizing and saying, let's start over. Let's have a clean slate. So then Lisa is happy and she's clapping. She's like, oh, this is what I really wanted. I wanted you guys to get on the same page. So then Heather says in her confessional, me and Lisa didn't like each other 4 years ago, and they showed season 1 when they were arguing about the thumbs up, and now me and her are cool, so maybe that might happen with me and Bronwyn. I don't know about that. But if Bronwyn stays on the show for season 2, that might happen. Heather and Bronwyn, do a toast, and Heather's like, look into my eyes so I know it's real type energy. And everyone's happy for the kumbaya moment. You got Brittany standing there, what about me? What about me? Everyone's like, it's like, Lord. You got Bronwyn being like, somebody get her a puppy. Somebody get her a puppy because she needs constant attention. So then Angie is like, are you feeling left out? She's like, yes, I'm feeling left out. Okay. So then Mary ends up saying, like, let's cut Brittany some slack. She's trying to come into a group that's already having to, like, rebuild. On top of, this is what I wanted this to be about, us putting everything out on the table so we can move forward. So then Angie ends up saying, well, Meredith, I want to talk to you. She was like, maybe not in this setting, but I want to talk to you because I want to understand where you were coming from with questioning Sean about this whole Brooks thing, because he was not coming for your son. And so Meredith is like, of course she wants to talk to me. And Meredith is like, no, I wanted to have a conversation with your husband because I wanted to resolve something that I felt like was an issue. And she was like, I tried to tell your husband that I didn't like what he said about, like, my son. And I'm like, if you listen to the audio or read it, he didn't say anything about Brooks. He basically just said that he felt like Meredith was using Brooks as an scapegoat to get her out of trouble. And that's why I kind of feel like sometimes you just can't say nothing about kids, because y'all was all acting like when Lisa brought up Electra, she crossed the line, but now we acting like the fact that, what's it called? Sean said something about Brooks is not that big deal. And I don't think it is a big deal, just like I didn't think what Lisa said about Electra wasn't a big deal either. I just feel like Meredith, I don't know. I don't think Meredith has a storyline, so she's grasping onto this because I feel like this is a non-issue. So then Angie is like, girl, I don't know what it is with you. She was like, 1 minute I feel like we're like 10 steps forward, and then I feel we take like 20 steps back. Like, she's like, I like your husband, you like my husband, I think you like me. It's like, what is it? And so Meredith is just like, I wanted to resolve the situation, but then y'all wanted to go 3 steps back, and I don't want to go back in the past. I want to just talk about the now. But if y'all want to go to the past, we could take it there. So then Angie is like, are you threatening me? And she's like, no, I'm not threatening you. I'm just letting you know, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that you're threatening you? So then Whitney was like, well, you basically just told her, like, you don't want to take it back to the past, but if you want to take it there, you'll take it there with her. That's pretty much threatening her. And so then Meredith confused me. And it's like, I don't know if she was just tongue-tied, if she was on a downer. I don't know. But I was like, Meredith, you're not making sense. So basically, Angie ends up re-explaining the story where she's just like, well, Meredith pretty much tried to insinuate that my husband was gay. When she said, you want to talk about the husband? You want to talk about the rumors? And the LGBTQIA community came out in support of me and Sean. And a lot of them started trolling and coming at Meredith. And to stop all of that, Meredith said, well, I have a gay son. Why would y'all think I was trying to out somebody or bring up like negative, pretty much out somebody. And so Meredith's like, I did not do that. Oh my gosh, how dare you? How dare you? So then they start arguing back and forth. You see, what's her name? Meredith be like, you know what? If you want to play this game, let's play this game. So she pulls out her phone and she starts playing the audio from the podcast. And she's like holding her phone like this so you can like hear it, but the volume is low. So Meredith is sitting across from Whitney. Whitney proceeds to snatch her phone out of Meredith's hand, turns it up, but as she's turning it up, she's scrolling through Meredith's phone. So then Meredith gets up, snatches her phone back, being like, don't scroll through my phone. And I'm like, Meredith is better than me because I'd have popped Whitney. I'd have popped her because for one, don't snatch my phone out of my hand that I paid a bill for. Number two, don't be disrespectful and start swiping through my phone when you know I don't like you and I didn't give you permission. And see, Whitney be escalating situations. As much as she was trying to say that Lisa did that, and Lisa did, she does it too. Because when I tell you, when I would have snatched, I would have muffed her in her face and snatched my phone and been like, don't touch my phones. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't play that games with me. So next thing you know, I think that's when Angie gets up and because Whitney ends up being like, I wouldn't have to snatch her phone if you didn't have it in my face. And I was like, girl, she really didn't even have it in your face. You took it upon yourself to snatch that girl's phone. So then you got Whitney in the confessional making fun of Meredith with the bang wig, being like, don't snatch my phone. Don't snatch my phone. So then Angie stands up and she's like, you know what, Meredith? You're miserable. You're bitter. You're bored. You ain't got nothing going on with your life. That's why you're doing this. Because this doesn't make sense and it's stupid. So then Meredith and Angie start yelling back and forth. Mary gets up trying to bring control back to the group where she's like, Angie, sit down. Meredith, sit down. Stop yelling in my house. And like Angie's not listening to Mary. So they're still arguing back and forth. And Mary decides to stand up and tell both of the ladies, if y'all can't like sit down and like be quiet or have like a civilized conversation, y'all need to get out of my house. But she yelled and she was like, if you can't sit down and like stop yelling in my house, you can get out. Because they were really like going at it. Angie ends up sitting down, but then Meredith takes this as like the total like amount like disrespect. So she grabs her jacket, puts on her jacket, and it's just like, I'm leaving. I just got asked to leave and I'm leaving. And so you can tell that Mary didn't want Meredith to leave. She goes up to Mary and she's like, I love you, but I'm really hurt by what you just did. And Mary's like, this isn't love. Like, are you really about to leave? Like, you're really about to leave. And Meredith says, you just told me to leave. And she was like, no, I told you if you couldn't sit down, then leave. So as Meredith is leaving the house, she was like, I've been ran through the coals and raked through the coals again by you and Angie. And I just, I can't do it. I can't do it. She's like, keep talking about me. Keep talking about me. I can't. And she cries dramatically and walks out of Mary's house. And Mary in her confessional is like, thank God. Okay. Like, I told her to come as Audrey Hepburn, not, what's the little, I think she was like, not the Flintstones. So I think she was talking about who's the baby, Pebbles, the baby, Wilma and Fred's baby. And that's where the episode ended. So yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. And as always, remember to be bravely authentic and definitely hop down in the comments below and share your thoughts with me, as well as like, and subscribe if you like what you heard. And I'm out, y'all. Deuces.